Happy new moon in Virgo, everybody. Eee. So this is like a pretty special new moon. It's not only like a new moon that sets off like the seed level of the month, but it's kind of like a new moon that sets the tone for the spiritual year to come. So we are in the month leading up to the High Holy Holidays. And the High Holy Holidays affect all of humankind, everyone. It's all about all the souls, the collective soul of mankind. And so whether or not you are part of like any kind of Hebrew tradition or like lineage, it really doesn't matter because it affects all people. So anyone is, I believe, encouraged to participate, and I would encourage anyone to participate. And so I have found it to be profound for me the last few years that I have started participating in Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and even observing Sukkot in the best way that I can. So Rosh Hashanah is spiritual New Year, essentially, and I'm going to reduce it into like just a very quick metaphor that spiritual New Year is like on Rosh Hashanah, we there's like an open window of time and space that allows us connection to a certain level of potency coming from the light of the Creator. The light of the Creator is always flowing down to us, but it's flowing through these different filters, and we're connecting through different dimensions at certain times. But Rosh Hashanah, it's like we're connecting to the ultimate source, the purest source of the light. And so during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we let go of the soul that we have. It becomes cleansed and it becomes renewed. And it's like we receive like a new soul every year. And so the month before Rosh Hashanah, we prepare ourselves through a month of devotion and sacrifice called Teshuvah. And Teshuvah is to return. So it's like we're returning to the path. We're getting back in alignment. We're returning to our true selves. We are atoning, right? We're reviewing, okay, where did we go wrong through the year? Where were we off? Where could we have been, kinder, more spiritually generous, or more patient, or more forgiving? Where did we create strife rather than unity? Like, where are we wanting to grow and become stronger and go deeper and become wiser? Where are we trying to transcend and elevate and heal? And so we kind of we recognize all of these things and we confess them, and we ask for forgiveness and we atone for them. We make those things right, and then we vow to make a change. We vow to become different going forward. Well, I love that because, that period of time called Teshuvah leading up to Rosh Hashanah, it starts on the Virgo new moon. So the Virgo new moon usually comes right after the summer's Mercury retrograde, right? And that Mercury retrograde really allowed us time to go back and get ready for Teshuvah, right? We went in deep and we pulled out all the stuff that we really need to work on in order to remove the blocks to get us into that next stage of our development, that next stage of our evolution, that next stage of our soul. Because I think it's a big jump from what we have known into the cycle that we're about to start. So the last few years have been this kind of void period, this limbo. And so we've been slowly phasing out of that old timeline that it's like we're always jumping timelines, but this particular timeline jump was when the world used to have this one supercontinent, Pangea, and then through tectonic shifts and things of that nature, geological catastrophes, the one continent of Pangea split off into all the different continents that you see on the globe today. And so it's kind of like that timeline, the period of catastrophic events that started to separate the land masses started happening over the last few years. And so the last timeline where it's like, okay, we're being stretched. We got 1 foot on one continent and 1 foot on the other. And the timelines are separating and we have to jump over into that higher destiny, right? And so those people who could jump into that higher level and sacrifice their old self and elevate enough were able to come into this timeline with us and seemingly have a shift as well. And they started to become part of the new storyline. But the people that couldn't, it's like they're still on their continent and they're on their own storyline. And it's like, even though we're sharing the same space, it's like people are kind of like experiencing a different simulation, right? It's like when people are in the same cluster of chairs, but they're all wearing virtual reality goggles and they're experiencing different simulations, right? They're going through different scenarios. So we have shifted this summer, and so this Mercury retrograde, it's like we have been going back in and being like, okay, what are those final like little things, those triggers in our ego that are really keeping us back in that old story and preventing us from really experiencing new stories in the new timeline? Because in the new timeline, it's like we can quantum jump very quickly. We can jump timelines and make quantum shifts and quantum leaps in our consciousness very, very quickly now. So what that means is, like, when we have a revelation and we shift our consciousness, instead of having it to take months for like the material plot to play out, it's like the rewrite happens overnight, and then like within a day or so or a week or whatever, like a very short amount of time, like the circumstances start to change rather than the old timelines where it took a long time. So miracles are more like apparent in this timeline because they're more instantaneous than they were in the previous timeline. There's less resistance from the like 5D becoming 3D, from the non-physical becoming physical. So there's that. So the new timeline, the new consciousness. So what is Virgo, right? The Virgo is the feminine, the virgin, right? And the moon is the vessel. And so we're trying to perfect the vessel, right? The vessel is humankind. The vessel is the soul. And without the light, the soul is really just sort of empty. And so the purpose of our purpose is to be a perfected vessel so that we can receive the light of the Creator. And so when we receive the light, that puts us into that flow of ease and harmony and blessing, and things just like we're like aligning with our purpose, and we're aligning with our higher potential, and we're expanding and we're blooming and we're blossoming and we're creating, we're becoming more. So that's what we're leaning into. And in order to do that, we have to build affinity with the light of the Creator. So we have to become more like the Creator, right? So in that way, like Virgo is like that symbol of perfecting the vessel. But the shadow of Virgo is that we can't get like overly obsessive about perfectionism to the point where it goes into the shadow side and it becomes like the ego's tricks to trip us up and to self-sabotage or to self-defeating tendencies. And so whenever we have like a new moon, for instance, it's the seed level of the whole month. So we are going to experience themes of this month of Virgo that have to do with Virgo's strengths and Virgo's weaknesses. But in order to reveal those strengths and powers of Virgo, it's like we're going to be able to do that in proportion that we can recognize where those shadowy aspects of Virgo creep up in our personality and in our self-expression and in our activity and relationship with life and others. And so we have to tackle those things and try to transcend and heal and elevate those aspects. So one thing that came through specifically in the Monday anchor message for us was, and I haven't posted that video yet, but you can see the written version of it on Instagram at Liz_Taylor_Magick. But the message was amazing. It was directly speaking about the new moon tonight in Virgo. And I'm looking at the cards now, and it was talking about healing a mother wound that is a divine feminine archetypal lesson. This is like a supernal feminine archetypal wound that is sort of passed through the mother. And this is the kind of Virgo Queen of Cups wound of feeling like we want help and we want support. But then when that help and support shows up, we're like hyper vigilant about it being perfect. So then there's like this immediate disappointment or criticism or judgment attached to the way it shows up. It's like it's not showing up the way that we expect or the way that we perceive that the right way is supposed to be. And so our perfectionism causes us to overanalyze, and instead of just receiving from the universe gratefully, right? Like, has anyone ever tried to give you a helping hand and you're like, oh no, I couldn't possibly, you know? Or someone offers to do something for you, but you're like, no, I don't like the way they do it, so I'm just gonna do it myself. Like, how many of us do that? And like at home and at work and with everything, right? We all do it. This is an archetypal wound. And so I think that I had this breakthrough today. It's like through this reading, it was crazy. So it's like we go back way, way, way back to where that was implanted. And we've all been here too. And it wasn't just the mother that did this. It was like every figure of a person that was older who we were doing an activity with, or they were showing us something. And they were getting impatient and they didn't have the patience for us to be children learning and be messy or be imperfect or stumble through it or fail or not understand or whatever. And so that figure got flustered and was like, here, just let me do it. And or maybe like wouldn't let you help at things, you know, because no, I don't want you to do it, you're not gonna do it right. And that is very common. It's like everyone does that. Everyone has to have that done. We do it over and over again. We've had a million adults do it to us when we were young, and then we go out and we do it through life. And so what that does, like when we were children, we were galvanized in that moment and we felt scolded, shameful, inadequate, cast away, rebuked, not enough, can't contribute. So like, oh no, I'm going to be abandoned. I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be out on my own. I'm going to have to fend for myself. This is like primal, like survival instincts for like a child's perception and a child's ego creating a defense mechanism. So then like you think, oh, if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. It's not perfect, it's not good enough. I have to be perfect in order to belong. I have to be perfect in order to be accepted. I have to be perfect in order to get to be there in the mix, right? And so we become adults, and then it's like the stakes are higher. And it's like if you're not perfect in some professions, right? You're like, okay, well, we'll hire somebody else tomorrow. Like you're gone. That's your sustenance, right? Sustenance cut off. Like think about freelancing world. You have like no time. There's no room for error. There's no learning curve. It's just like, okay, they'll find somebody tomorrow, right? So you get these deep rooted instincts that come from your reactive inner child to try to cushion and control your environment by just doing it yourself. I'll just do it myself. Or I will micromanage, or I will be dissatisfied with what the others are doing. And so there's like this sort of tension that starts to build up because you're depleting yourself and you are then micromanaging and becoming hypercritical, hyper judgmental, hyper tired, hyper sour. And you're like, well, why does everybody else get to be accepted in life not doing it right, what you perceive as right? You know, and why did they survive and remain in and accepted and they're not? And so it's like it becomes this thing. And so oh, there's another element to this. It's like the perfectionism, the projecting of others. Oh yes, okay. And so it's like this realization where you have to like all of a sudden like you have to awaken to that. See it for what it is, and then realize that just because others are doing something their way and you may not like the way they're doing it, it doesn't mean that that equals not the right way or wrong. And so it's about catching that perfectionism where it sabotages us, because in a way the ego is like, I'm just trying to do it good, I'm just trying to do it blah blah blah. But really what it's doing is it's pushing support away that the universe is sending to you, because you're repeating that pattern from childhood, that default faulty programming that is like, if I'm not perfect, I'm not safe. If I'm not perfect, then it's inadequate. If that isn't perfect, then it's inadequate, and that is what it equals to me, So you're pushing the support away. You're telling the universe no, because when the universe is trying to gift us with support, it's better to say, oh, thank you, and then start shaping it and molding it with specificity in your intention. But like, just keep receiving and you'll keep receiving more the more you show appreciation, right? Because the masculine energy of the universe, the light, is sharing. And so the light, the masculine energy, wants to share, and it wants to feel that it's serving its purpose. And so if it shares with the feminine energy that can receive, then it's very satisfying. Its job is complete. But if it's trying to share with a vessel that cannot receive, then it's very unsatisfying and very disheartening, and it's very soul crushing for the masculine energy. It's very like a wet blanket. So the role of humankind is to be the vessel, the feminine, and we want to be able to receive. So we're trying to make ourselves a vessel that is resonant with that masculine energy so that we can receive the light. So we want to receive. So we need to open ourselves, let our guard down, let the control issues go, and just be willing to let it be messy, right? Don't control. Let things organically take shape. We can start to perfect things and bring beauty to things and elevate things whilst holding the paradox that imperfection is also perfect in its own way. So we don't have to rigidly perfect ourselves in order to be worthy. We're already worthy. We're already fine. It's just we're just continuing to grow and evolve towards more goodness and a finer, more honed in, focused expression of the light. So yes, that Virgo moon energy is mutable. It's feminine. It is earth energy, but it is related to Mercury. And let's see, Mercury is retrograde, has been retrograde in Virgo, then it's finishing its retrograde in Leo. So it's that support of us going back and looking at all of these things, and then that fire of Leo giving us the gumption to take action, take inspired action and make change. And Mars was in Chiron, or Mars was doing something with Chiron the other day. I can't remember exactly what, but that's really healing our ability to take action, right? And we've been healing so much of the mother and father wounds already that it's just unblocking these major barriers from us getting into that next level. So I think that's very encouraging and very exciting. Also, it's us borrowing light from our higher self and starting to integrate it into this next level. I decided to wear this creamy lace dress because I learned that in Kabbalah, or in Hebrew, tradition, when we wear white, it's a symbolic of wearing the light, wearing the clothes of your higher self, wearing the light of your perfected self. And so that's what we want to do. We want to plant the seed level of the month. We want to plant good, positive seeds for the month. So us in the context of this moment right now is compromise. The card compromise came up. This situation requires give and take for a win-win situation. You don't have to compromise yourself or your values to find a healthy compromise in this situation. So whatever's coming up right now, be willing to give and take a little bit. Don't be too rigid. Like we were talking about, it doesn't have to be perfect to be what you perceive as right? Like there could be more than one right way to do something. So don't be too rigid, be flexible, be willing to compromise with, like, you don't have to compromise your values and your morals. You don't have to compromise yourself, but you can, come to a compromise, come to a middle ground somewhere. Okay, what is crossing us now? This is from the heart. So core authentic desires, divine guidance, purpose, passion, influenced by a higher love, may seem illogical. The heart is ahead of the brain. Insight that holds truth, big truth. Be aware that if the heart is in sleep, be aware that if the heart is in pain or the individual is asleep, the heart can be misinterpreted. So yes, something right now is worth compromising because it's coming from a heart-centered space. This new cycle, like as we come up against familiar territory and we do things differently, we will see that the story plays out differently. It doesn't have to play out just like it did before. We have to be different, right? We have to show up a new creature with new expectations, new perceptions, new, approaches, new energy, but it doesn't have to, like, the story's not going to play out like it used to if we really genuinely are changing and doing things differently. So keep an open heart, be willing to compromise, because the situation that we might find ourselves moving through very shortly might be a bit hard to read or hard to interpret, but it's heart-centered, it's heart-guided, it's sponsored by the heart. Like the heart is going to like the situation. It's going to be expansive for us. So I think it's a good thing. So it's like lean in, whatever it is. That's what maybe you might have to compromise. And you might be hesitant about that compromise because you're like, I don't know, is this okay territory to be in? And it's like, yes, this is coming from the heart. This is the heart space. The underlying energy that's like propelling the situation, the subconscious influence on the situation, it says focus on gratitude. So when we focus on appreciation, like before, the universe is the masculine energy wanting to give to us, right? So the universe is the God energy, the Christ energy, the universe, that's the bridegroom coming to give to the bride. We are the bride, so we want to receive. So the more we show appreciation to the universe, the more we're open to that and receive even the smallest little things that the universe tries to give us, then it's like it wants to shower us with more and more and more. So show your appreciation, focus your gratitude, get yourself into that feeling of gratitude, but like put your verbal appreciation, like hone it in on how you want to direct the universe with more specificity, right? Without being controlling, because the universe sometimes has like things up its sleeve that we wouldn't have known, to ask for. And so be willing to get out of the way and give space for the universe to work magic so that you can be in awe and you can be surprised. Okay, so the next card is going to represent the influence in the past that's still kind of having an effect on the situation, but it's almost run its course. This is a dead end. So amazing. So all the things that ended up in a dead end from the past, like this is not gonna be a continuing theme from now on. The pattern of dead end, that is in the past. That is not going to be a cycle that's going to keep repeating. And you know what? If you're seeing that something's a dead end, then you can see it and identify it, and you can take action to go into a different direction if you want to. However, you don't have to be overly paranoid that everything's going to be a dead end. Just give it a chance, see what happens, and worst case scenario, you can just like change it up and make a change. Explore another option. But this is something that is not, the point of the position of the card is that it's an issue of the past that's still kind of having an effect right now, but that is not going to be around much longer. And so if we are moving past the reality that was created for us that sent us into dead ends, that means that, yeah, we are kind of in that the end of that right now, because we're moving into a new beginning. So we're not completely away from where the dead end brought us, but we are on the way out. Okay, the next card will represent the energy that's sort of crowning over us right now, sort of like the weather over our heads. You're going in circles. So negative patterns, cycles, stuck in a loop, repeating the same mistake, time for a new story. So like we were saying, watch out for those moments where your muscle memory starts to default into an old mindset, an old story about yourself, an old paradigm, an old role that you used to play. Like, don't go into the same experience again and again and again. If you get into familiar territory, then do something different or go into a different direction. But there are going to be, so don't think you've gone so far wrong by seeing the pattern come up again. It's just that these patterns are coming up as sort of the opportunity to retake the test. So it's like, now that you've had a chance to study, you can come back and take your driver's exam again. And so it's like it's like by taking the driver's test, you're just driving around, and then all of a sudden, like, the tester is like suddenly in your car, and you're like, whoa, and they're like, the test is now. And you're like, I didn't realize this was happening. They're like, we're surprising you, but you've already been driving around and practicing, right? So that's how the tests show up. It's like we're being prepared, we're being practice driving, but like suddenly in life, the test givers just show up and we're not expecting it. So just be ready for that. And when those familiar scenarios come up, just don't go against your nature to want to go back into like that old muscle memory, or those old patterns, or those old defenses, or even the old ways that your ego used to self-sabotage and go send you into self-defeatism, or even new fun and creative ways that the ego has come up with that. But I think that we're going to be tapping into new layers, right? We're going to have so much more clarity that we're going to be able to perceive so much clearer where our patterns are, where they're coming from. And it's like, now that we've gotten some of these top layers out of the way, we're starting to see more nuanced things as they come up and in new ways. Okay, so coming right around the corner is an ending of a cycle. So a completion, endings, time to go, moving on, finishing a big project, leaving a job or the end of a relationship, a big finish, something is over. So coming up soon, it's like the past themes and stories really are going to be over and finishing and completing. And so just take a moment to like look around before you go, kind of thing. Like, this cycle is not going to be going on much longer. And so things are going to be speeding up and changing and expanding. So just be ready for that. The perspective that's affecting us now, and it's usually a negative perspective, is needless worry. And it came up with a conflicting desire. So I think something that is like nagging at us, we're having like kind of a needless worry about it. And it's creating like an inner conflicting desire that is then setting off that inner child alarm that is trying to set up like booby traps and false, and defense mechanisms around us, like Home Alone, right? So our inner child is threatened and it feels vulnerable. And so it's going to set up emotional booby traps around the house to try to prevent any intruders from getting in. And so those booby traps, though, might be keeping out good people as well. And so that is what the inner conflicting desires are. So we need to watch out for those sneaky things that might sabotage our success, or new love cycles, or healthy routines that we established. And now we're like backsliding into bad habits again, right? Like, if you were, doing really well with like eating and fitness, and then you kind of backslid, or if you were, really getting really good with your bed routine and going to bed on time and getting up early, and you were having that extra time for like productive things like towards your dreams, and then you just like started getting back into those old routines again. Just like pay attention to those things and course correct, and then keep moving forward. Okay, so the outer circumstances that are affecting us right now is affect consciousness. So basically, we are seeing the simulation and the tests, and the tests have definitely raised the volume on the tension and the pressure for sure. But we're getting lost in the simulation, and we're forgetting that it's a test. We're just like believing everything, and then like it's getting us flustered, and so we're being affected by it. So that's what's causing the needless worry. It's like there's the creators coming through in the virtual reality ride, and it's like, hey, this is a test. This is only a test. Like, don't worry, calm down. Like, you are in a simulation. Get your bearings. And it's like, but have you ever been on one of those rides, right, where it's got the virtual reality, like at Universal Studios, and then you get like nauseous, and even though you're not moving or going anywhere, it's like you still can't like harness your chi because you're just like, you've gotten caught up in the illusion so much to the degree that you physically reacted to it. So affect consciousness is much like the same. It's like we are reacting to what we perceive is reality so much to the degree that it is causing physical symptoms and things to be affected by that. So our wishes and fears card is rest and recuperate. And so like we might be so tired and we might want to rest, and we might feel like if we take a rest that we'll never make anything happen. And so that might be a way that we're trying to control, but it also might be a way that we're like driving ourselves into the ground, and we're not in a healthy feminine state. At that point, we can't receive. The healthy feminine can rest and recuperate. And that is how we receive when we surrender some of this to the creator and we rest, right? That's when we take Shabbat, right? On Friday night to Saturday night, we rest and we receive and we trust and we surrender. So resting does take trust, because it makes you feel like, oh my God, can I put down the plow for a day or will I starve? And it's like, yeah, you have to trust. You have to trust, and you have to rest, and you have to surrender. So rest and recuperate. You need a break. Rest is productive. Take a nap. Don't work on anything. Do something fun, or you might burn out. So again, the ability to receive is demonstrated when we get into that divine feminine energy. And so being able to rest and recuperate shows that you have faith in the universe, and that you don't believe that you are the only one doing everything for you, right? And then what does that do? Back to that whole Queen of Cups energy. Would we think, oh, well, I'll just do it myself? Then we get depleted, and then we overgive, and then we like lack boundary, and then we get bitter, and then we get crabby and snippy. And so back to allow people to help you, allow the universe to send support, allow yourself to be supported, receive. Okay, so final outcome, what is this? Facing fears. So as the more that we face our fears, the more that we become super magnetic towards our desires, because this is the fear that we're facing is the self-sacrifice. It's the discomfort that we're putting ourselves through. We're taking that leap of faith. We're doing an act of faith. We're resting, we're trusting, and we are taking an act of faith in action. So facing fears, many times the exact direction we should go in is the direction that is intimidating to us. So those are the kind of fears we're talking about. You know, we're talking about fears of failure, fears of intimacy, fears of getting it wrong, fears of being laughed at, fears of abandonment, fears of rejection, fears of inadequacy, all of it. Those are the ones that we're leaning into, right? We're not talking about, I have a fear of going after this person because they seem like the same old narcissistic person that has tormented me in the past. Like, don't lean into those fears. Those are healthy fears. If you fear, like if you have a healthy fear, listen to that. But these are those facing your insecurities, facing those kind of personal insecurities that are holding you back and keeping you small and keeping you confined. Okay, let's pull 4 cards from the tarot to sort of round up our storyline. I decided to go like very naked faced, little makeup, bad hair tonight because I thought it would be fun to be in the purity of the Virgin of Virgo and be perfect in my imperfection and not be overly perfectionistic. So I thought no makeup, no hair done. Like I still have like the coconut oil and stuff I like worked into my hair last night. It looks crazy. That's okay. That's okay. I think it's still fine. Okay, so Page of Swords, first thing out. The Page of Swords is sort of like, they just come out like all guns blazing, like swinging like indiscriminately. Sometimes this is like an immature form of communication or taking action. Sometimes the Page of Swords is a little looky-loo. Sometimes this is like, you know, admirer energy. Sometimes it's like investigator energy. Sometimes it's stalker energy. It just depends. It varies. So there's, you know, probably a lot of people watching this. So you find where you are on the scale, or, you know, incoming, find where you are on the scale. But I think that this is taking this energy, this little curious little Hardy Boy and Nancy Drew energy, and going into that self-investigation mode, into that like going in and really taking a look at those aspects of us that are coming up, trying to sabotage all the blessings coming in, right? What parts of you immediately like are quick to judge or to find fault or to become offended, right? Like look for those ways that good things are about to be ruined, you know, because the opponent always comes in and tries to use our ego to sabotage the situation, right? So check yourself very closely this month. Take your time step by step through the hours and the days, and check in with your motives and your thoughts and your perceptions around things, right? Really go in and like do the digging within yourself, right? Do the investigating. Be that detective. Okay. What else do we need to know? I feel like it's this. King of Swords. Wow, like really establishing that clarity. See, I keep getting this vision of this insight that's coming to us. Like that last Aquarius full moon really helped us have like this revolutionary shift of mind. And it was like an awakening of a new consciousness. And I think that has kind of dripped down into like an awakening of heart. And because we've changed the way that we're thinking and perceiving, it's like we're also having a change of heart. We're changing the way that we feel about things. And so now it's like we've become so much more grounded and so much more emotionally sober. And so it's like this lens has been changed out, and we have so much clearer perception of everything coming in. And it's almost like we got this like really great pair of glasses. We got an eye exam and we were able to get our lenses changed, and they really nailed it. They got the prescription just right. And we can see better than we have in forever. And like we can see new detail now. We're like, oh my gosh, I can see this new detail in myself. This new layer that I've stripped away that is showing like, oh, I can see that little tiny detail there was gonna try to sabotage this by trying to perceive it in this way and talk about it in this way and get me turned around. And I can see that more clearly. And so then it's like from there, like after we get the glasses and we're seeing more clearly, it's like because of that, it's like we get a bonus. And it's like, guess what? Laser eye surgery. And then like we are going to heal the perspective from the inside out. You won't even need the glasses. So really getting clearer perception and perspective, having a real transformation of consciousness and mind, and things just really coming to inner peace and inner fulfillment. Taking that authority over ourselves. Wow, we've got Queen of Pentacles here, which is like laying that stable foundation for a nourishing life, like of self-love, self-care, being able to cultivate a beautiful life that we love. Like Queen of Cups has Venus energy all over her. Sorry, Queen of Pentacles, right? It's like that Taurus energy and that Venusian energy of beauty and security and stability and nurturing, balanced love and companionship and relationship. And it's like this motherly energy, the earth mother, you know, so like in touch with her environment, in touch with herself, but she knows how to take great care of herself. So think about, and this is also like Virgo energy too, because Virgo rules those routines of health and our environment, right? And so this is like us going back and getting really recommitted to those healthy routines and the way that we think about ourselves and the way that we treat ourselves and the way that we're eating and, you know, drinking water, sleeping, keeping our household in order, keeping our finances in order, right? We've got our mindset straight, we've cleared out our mind and our mental health, and now we're taking care of our physical vessel and our physical kingdom and our heart space. Okay, and then one more card here. Two of Pentacles. So this is like an energy of balancing, you know, a couple of different priorities and having a good time doing them, right? We might feel like we have to be in two places at once. And so in order to be able to do that and have like this work-life balance and be able to be, you know, in different places and in different, you know, juggle different balls and try to keep them all up in the air. It's like we have to just try to go at it from a playful sense and have a good time. Do it in a way that's sustainable and nurturing to us so that we don't burn out. Taking, you know, frequent and ample time to rest when we need to. Okay, and then also too, there might be like a dualistic aspect to something going on right now. It's like, might be like this and that is true. Okay, let's grab a Moonology card. What do we need to know for the next 2 weeks in the waxing cycle, the month ahead? Balance, spirituality, and practicality. Full moon in Pisces energy. So I love that. Balance, spirituality, and practicality. It's like we're bringing through and integrating these like upgrades and changes, but we're not completely ethereal, right? We need to become immanent too. We need to be balanced and proficient at like taking action, taking grounded action so that we are effective in the world. Making a difference and not just thinking a difference. Okay, and then let's grab an Angel Wisdom Tarot card. I think it's this. Oh my gosh, the Star card. Healing Aquarius here, bringing that radical change, that radical revolution, that radical shift of mind and heart. Healing these like major lifelong issues and patterns and themes, so that we can go into this new cycle and finally start to align with some of this higher destiny and these blessings, because we've done the work that has prepared the way. And so much of the work that we would have done, we wouldn't have done had we been fulfilled and satiated and happy and completely like satisfied in life, right? We wouldn't have had that hunger within us, that drive to make us do that self-perfection, that self-discovery. So it's like once we get a lot of the bulk of that out of the way, out of that healing, it makes way for like huge lifelong dreams to come through. And like our major purpose in life, like we start to align with that. It's all about the Star card, right? The Star card is about healing and hope and aligning with those major life goals and visions and those major big dreams coming true and prayers being answered. So that's very exciting. Okay, let's grab a few cards on our manifestations. So this is like the next 2 weeks are the waxing energy. So the bulk of the action needs to be taken in those 2 weeks. 3 major actions would be great, or 3 actions of intention. But then again, this like energy is this energy of the Virgo new moon is present for the whole month. So just keep that in mind as well. Divine magic, extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now. Expect miracles. So just keep at it, keep working at things. Keep doing the changes on the inside that are allowing for this outer manifestation to align. Like the work that we do on the inside, the self-sacrifice actually like creates all that magic that's surrounding us, because it's releasing that energy and it's transmuting it. You're being helped. Heaven is working behind the scenes to help you, even if you don't see the results yet. So believe that heaven is helping you. Just know that there are like little worker bees working on things behind the scenes. Like more is going on that meets the eye. So keep taking action and believing, like take action under the belief that you're being supported from behind the scenes, and that faith will support you, and that like the creator is behind you. Act in faith knowing that the means will be provided. I love this. So the alchemy card is here. You have the Midas touch right now, and every project you begin turns to gold. With the alchemy, that golden touch comes from, like we said, doing the work of changing the darkness within us to light, because it breaks open the old shells of negativity and then allows the light to come forward. So it releases that power and that magic, and then you redirect it into intentionally something good, of something of like that's becoming of goodness rather from that darkness. Okay, so I love this. We have a new dawn on the bottom of the deck that I can't deny, so I'm just going to put that to the side. And in that cluster, we also had set your sights higher, increase your standards, expect more for yourself, don't settle. We've got father healing. Oh my goodness, your personal power increases as you give any father-related issues to heaven. And this is true. I've been doing this week, and I have had like literally like magic, just like other unrelated issues just coming to resolution on their own. It's great. It's like the payment, the ransom was dealing the father's issues, and then the unrelated issues resolve themselves. Set your sights higher. So believe, set the bar high. Don't settle. Hold your worth. Treasure chest. That's going to ensure that like that's part of the facing of the fears, is like staying in your standards, staying in your worth. And so by staying in that worth and not giving up, not giving in, you're going to open that cosmic treasure chest for like windfalls of manifestations and blessings to come through. Very exciting. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Now this is our romance angels. So let's see what we got for the romance angels. Okay, yay. So our romantic life might be getting interesting. So getting to know each other, as you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your love bond deepens. Now, a lot of times when this card has been coming out a bunch lately, and a lot of times I like go straight to talking about being like authentic and letting your true self show. But this card has actually been coming up in my mind a lot. And the interpretation of this card, like it was like, this card is going to come up soon, and you have to tell the interpretation is this. It's like, this card is almost like saying like, take your time getting to know someone, because the more you get to know them, the more you'll like them, right? It's like it's a card that says, at least in this time, that it may surprise you that the more you spend time with someone, that the more you might be attracted to them, and the more that you might like them, like the more you get to know them. Okay. Let's see. What else do we need to know? Fun. What do we have? Oh, love yourself first. So your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. So yeah, stick to your guns, love yourself first, show yourself respect. You know, you gotta, when you put yourself out in the world, you have to show the world the ways that you love yourself and respect yourself. And that demonstrates like the modeling to the rest of the world, how you expect to be treated. And so many times, you know, we've got the compromise card. So I think this is a good caveat to bring up, that attraction is not built on being 100% compromising and cooperative. Sometimes attraction is built by being a little bit like being able to break rapport a little bit, or like having a good little balance of sweet and salty to make a little bit of a sassy sauce. You know, if someone is just like overly sweet and overly like agreeable and all of that, it gets to be a bit much. It gets to be a bit too much after a while, right? Like too much sugar, leaving you with like a sore tooth and an upset stomach. It's just too much. So don't be afraid to set a boundary, or to just even in little ways. Like for instance, I wait tables. And I watch these people on dates, and it's like, for me, it's like watching sports. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like the sports commentator. And I was like watching this guy and this girl on a first date, and I was really appreciating her like feminine energy. She was really propping up his like healthy, she was setting him up for his healthy masculine. And she was letting him take the lead in ordering, and he was like picking out some good things, and then he picked out a steak for them to split. And she'd been really agreeable about everything so far, and he wanted it to be medium rare, which is like, you know, an acceptable temperature of a steak. But she wanted medium, which is less okay. And even though she knew that the medium was like the gauche way to go, she was like, I like a medium. And he was like, he was cringing, and he was like, okay. And it was hard for him to like accept that the steak was going to be medium. She's like, I like a medium. She had been agreeable about everything else, but she like stood her ground on the temperature. So it was a really powerful and poignant moment, because like in my mind it was like the golf clap, or like Wimbledon tennis. It was like a whisper of a roaring crowd. Very impressive move. Because it was very feminine, it was very agreeable, but it also really set a standard. And like, you know, she did something that like set a standard for herself, but it wasn't like heavy-handed or stern or strict. And it wasn't like, and I just putting my foot down, like it didn't have that in it at all. It was just very like regal, royal, very small moment, very subtle. Could blink and you'll miss it kind of moment, but it left an impression. Even if he didn't even know it hit him, he probably did not analyze that moment the way I did. He probably didn't perceive it at all, but it did its work. And he probably thought about her later, and like something about that was attractive to him, but he probably didn't know why. Children. Okay, so your love life is being affected by children right now. So this to me is definitely talking about our inner child. Our love life is being affected by our inner child. And so if we are used to patterning in a certain dynamic, and we are used to playing out a certain role and being the opposite of a certain, like say we're typecast in the same romantic comedy over and over and over again, and we're always this role, and then we're always playing this role, and then we're always cast with this like other person in the opposite role, and they're always playing out the same character who's got the same issues and gives us the same dissatisfaction and all that stuff. So when we break those cycles, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in a new movie, a new genre with a new director, it's still, there's like a love story playing out, but it's a different one. It's an adult one. It's not a romantic comedy. This is a serious film. And this is a good, healthy story. And you're like, whoa, I'm not familiar with this. I'm getting antsy. Like, is this a long movie? It's a very long movie. It's the longest movie. And your inner child is panicking, right? Because it's unfamiliar. It's not familiar with the sitting down and watching a film. It's like, I want to put on Peppa Pig. I want to watch that Peppa Pig again. You know, like the inner child. When the inner child is presented with something, even something is unfamiliar, like, okay, maybe the inner child knows these certain characters that come to the door, right? And so those familiar characters, even though they may not be the best ones, those are the ones that the inner child knows. But a different energy character comes to the door, and this is unfamiliar to the inner child. And maybe that's a better person, right, coming to the door with better energy. But maybe it's a different quality of energy that the child is unfamiliar with, but the child can feel the difference in intensity in the energy, and it scares the inner child because they don't know what that means. We're not used to this routine. Something's going to change. Something's going to be shaken up. I might be challenged to grow up. Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't like this. I want to go to bed late. I want to eat a candy. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know what I mean? So like that's where the inner conflicting desire is. It's like the inner child is sort of driving the ship. So you have to make sure that your inner child isn't in control. Because what do we see when we see family units where the child is in control? We see powerless adults who have lost the map, right? And we see a child who's being spoiled and not learning and not being reared and not given the right kind of discipline and structure. So the same for us, right? When our inner child is in control, there's no one in the driver's seat. No one's flying the plane. The structure is falling out the window, and we're not actually like living into our potential. We're actually like squandering our potential because there's not enough structure. So again, this Virgo energy plus Pisces, Saturn is in Pisces right now. So Saturn, the disciplinary, is looking at Pisces, the dreamer, and being like, okay, let's make this dream happen. Like, yeah, I love this dream, Pisces, but like, let's do it and stop being in an illusion about it and stop daydreaming and stop, doing all of the imagining, but none of the action taking. So the Saturn is like, let's get a structure, let's get a routine. The Saturn is like the writing coach that you talk to once a week that's not telling you how to write, but they're just holding you accountable to do your pages. Okay, so new love, right? So as we kind of get these, reparent our inner child, grow up, adult ourselves a little bit, we're loving ourselves first, we're taking our time getting to know a person, because that over time, it's like we're giving it a chance to warm up and develop organically, because that's what healthy things do. They're not just like a meteor shower, it's like a seed breaking and sprouting and taking root and pushing through soil. So there is new love showing up, new love cycles, but a new person has stirred your romantic feelings. So like, keep your sights high. Good things are coming. We have done a lot of healing. We have done a lot of preparation, and we are going into a new spiritual new year, right? And so big, major new cycles are starting. We are about to be spit right into eclipse season. So what was going on like 6 months ago? And think about it now. And so I think that so many times, like we've talked about this over the last few years, but it's like, wow, if you're just now catching up, sorry that you have to be suddenly thrust into a transmutation that's been, some people have started a couple of years ago. Some people were slow in taking certain action steps along the way. And so we're all just like sort of like having to catch up and like figure it out, and like we're all kind of regrouping in the same spot. So for some people it's been like extremely accelerated, right? But this eclipse season, I think, is going to really accelerate things even faster in a positive direction. So if you've just gone through a lot of like transitions and upheaval, like the gap in time that it usually we had or were given, or the space around it to regroup, like we may not have that luxury. We may be like thrown right into like, it's like, did anybody watch The Mandalorian? It's like this serial, series about this Mandalorian, this like sort of soldier for hire, a mercenary in the Star Wars world, who is like hired to like take care of this baby Yoda. And every episode, it just picks up with him going from like one event to the next big challenge, and he like kind of never catches his breath. But like there's all these like challenges, but like bonuses that are always kind of coming at him like back to back to back. So he never really has time to just meander. And I think that's where we're at right now. It's like there's no time to meander between like kind of like one episode ending and the next episode starting. So there's just big new chapters starting, and the timeline is shifting, and it's like the major shift is started now. And so whereas some of us have been going through these like micro shifts, some people are doing like a cataclysmic, like, oh wow, it's all happening, kind of at the last minute. It's like running after the fairy that's like pulling away from the dock and you're like, no, I've got to get on that ferry. And you're like running down the dock and you have to like jump on and you like grab at the last minute, everybody pulls you on and you make it. Okay, so loving words from Mary, some advice from Mother Mary, Queen of Angels, Jesus's mom. We've got truth that came out. I am lovingly honest with myself and others. So it'll be important to speak your truth and speak from the heart, even if you are afraid to do so, right? Maybe you have to set a standard for yourself or speak up about something that you are afraid will, I don't know, maybe it makes you nervous, or maybe it makes you shy, or maybe it makes you feel like it could like spoil something or whatever, or disappoint, but just speak up, set your sights higher, right? Love yourself first. As your self-respect makes you romantically more attractive. So sometimes the universe gives us opportunities to set boundaries in life for ourselves and for others and with ourselves. And that makes us more attractive to others and to the universe. And we think we're in this moment that's not fair. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But then really what it is an opportunity that's been handed to us to set that boundary, because it's going to increase attraction. And we just don't realize it because we're afraid. But if we walk through our fear and we knew we were going to be supported, then we would know that there's needless worry. There's nothing to be afraid of, because it's actually going to create more magnetism. So our other card is watched over. I allow myself to feel safe and enjoy my life, knowing that heaven is watching over my loved ones and me. So I am safe, I am protected, and I am divinely directed. Okay. All right, this is, sorry, I started to like shuffle these. I didn't even tell you what the next move was. We are getting the last word from Jesus, loving words from Jesus. So what do we got? Give, and it shall be given unto you. So it's like what you want to receive, give that thing. If you want more friends, then be a friend. If you want to attract a romantic partner, then be that partner that you want to attract, right? Be what you want to receive. Give what you want to receive. And then heal the sick that are therein, and say unto them, the kingdom of God is coming nigh on to you. So to heal the sick, meaning looking at these things within us that are causing dis-ease, right? In the ways that we are spiritually sick. We look to those and say unto those places within us, the kingdom of God is coming unto me. And so that's that higher consciousness. That's that version of self that is a member of God's kingdom, what would you call it? Like a subject of God's kingdom. That higher self that's already awakened to that consciousness, that higher self will come unto you, and then you will adopt that insight and that perspective and that wisdom and that heart space, that heart-centered consciousness. And when you awaken to the fullness of who you really are, then the sickness will leave you, because you'll realize, oh, I'm whole. And I'm perfect and I'm complete, and God is one, and God is within me. And there is no room for illness, because I am perfectly perfect, right? And the illness is only there to send us through a process of awakening to our darkness, accepting that, healing it, and elevating it. So if we're already doing that, then there may not be any purpose for the illness, right? When we know what the purpose is for the illness, we no longer need the illness. It has served us. And so we can appreciate it and release it and let it go. You have no more to serve me with. Like, I have gotten I've received your gift and your lesson and your medicine, and you are free to be released and let go now. All right, you guys. Very good. Very good. Happy new moon in Virgo. Happy month of Teshuvah. Really just to give yourself some time over the next couple of days to inventory the major themes that were coming up over the past few weeks and let those be those shifts that you're taking through, right? What are those big parts of your shadow side or your ego or the places in your soul that you want to grow that you don't want to have follow you into next year? What is it that you're ready to let go of? What is it that you're ready to grow past and transcend now? And commit that to your consciousness and take it through this month. All right, you all, good luck out there. Ciao. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, then please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to be notified of when I drop content. Like the videos, comment, share them. Anything that you do helps these messages get out to other people who need them. So you watching a video and taking an action on it actually makes a positive difference in someone else's life.